the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could remain standing as we always do and remember our men and women in the armed forces. Thank you.
It's gone. That's her. So the spring. Yeah, that's it now. Now, it's watching for swarms. So they split in May.
All right, first on the agenda, we have a public hearing on the Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. I'll read this short public notice.
This month, you see big ball.
Please take notice that the Village Board of the Village of Highland Falls does hereby set a public hearing on the 15th day of May at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Village Hall, 303 Main Street, Highland Falls, New York, on the proposed application for fiscal year 23-24 Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. The Village invites public comments and suggestions regarding projects to be considered for funding under the Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. Under the program, a variety of physical improvements as listed below are eligible for funding: acquisition of real property, public works, public facilities of site or site improvement, code enforcement, housing and health codes, clearance, demolition and rehabilitation for public or economic development, housing, rehabilitation, loans and grants, special projects for elderly and handicapped, provisions of the public safety, payment of non-federal shares of other grant programs, relocation payments and assistance. The village will be considering projects to be submitted to Orange County Community Development Block Grant Program. The deadline to submit is June 24, 2023. The village board will at an above date, time and place hear all persons interested in the subject matter hereof. Persons may appear or in person or by agent. All written communications addressed to the board must be received by the board at or prior to the public hearing. And I will, for the record, state that there's been no communications, written communications with the village board. Is any public comment at the public hearing? If there isn't, that's fine. I will tell you that we're strongly considering, with several conversations with the county, possibly putting in for an elevator for this building. The county has indicated that that would be a strong project, but it has not been decided on. But if there's any public comment, I'll take it now. Any other suggestions? Okay, and I'm sorry, Lene, we had a public hearing, opening of the public hearing.
Yes.
Would you put down the time?
Yes.
And if there's no public comment, I'll close the yes.
I take walks, like everybody does, for your health, and I've noticed that on some of the sidewalks outside of my town marketplace, there's one area, and it's all done, they're new lampposts, they already put them in, but for the next time, there's a fire hydrant kind of in on the sidewalk, and then there's a lamppost right in the middle. And for somebody, and it was a great job that you guys did putting in those accessible ramps for people in wheelchairs to get onto the sidewalks themselves. But you kind of have an obstacle course to get around these lampposts, where normally they're situated on the edge of the sidewalk. Anyway, that's my comment, if you could look into it.
You don't have it, that's not a comment for this, is it?
Well, I'm just saying, in further monies from the state, maybe you can, when it comes to moving those lamp posts again, to
Okay,
make it more accessible for people in wheelchairs.
okay, thank you. Now, go ahead.
Are you talking about the, as you go south on
Go-
Main
go-
Street,
going up
on the
Hacienda.
sidewalk?
Yeah. going
Yeah,
up the
and then
Hacienda.
the telephone poles.
Yeah,
So I had to, when they put those in, I actually grabbed the folks that were putting them in, they were down in front of West Point Tours. And I was like, I don't understand how you folks picked that particular spot to put a telephone pole. Because actually, who came to me was the opposite of somebody in a wheelchair, it was a couple of runners. And I said, is there any way we can move them, is there any way we can move them? And of course, I got a song and a dance from the folks who put them in there, so. I don't know what their philosophy or formula is to pick a location to put a telephone pole, but apparently it's an act of God to try to get it moved once it's in the ground.
but I know it's
I know
done
you-
now.
All right, I have to move on because this isn't the public hearing what we're talking about. I got to stay with the script. So is there any comments on the public hearing on suggestions for the community development block grant money? Yes,
You're talking about, this was inclusive with the elevator for this building? Okay, that falls right into your comprehensive plan, having an elevator in this building, so hey, that's a good idea.
right.
What other monies are going where? Or where are they designated to go?
This money?
Yeah, you said you got a grant program, right?
It's just,
Is it just for an elevator?
it's for a project. It's for a project.
Fine. That's good then.
We would probably need the full amount to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, obviously you need an elevator in this building because older individuals can't even come up here for a meeting. So
Okay,
it makes sense.
if there's no, is there any further comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. I have a motion?
So moved.
So I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment on agenda items.
You want me to come up?
Yeah, I want everyone to see you. Are you kidding me?
Oh, well, I'm not that good looking.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you. Michael Joyce, a resident of the village. I'm sure it was an oversight, and I just want to bring it to the attention when you make agenda item. It says, resolution to transfer of reserve funds, full stop. As a taxpayer, if the next time you put like just add another sentence as to what funds.
It's right here, Mike, I'm gonna read it.
Oh,
No one's
well,
gonna be, no, I'm not putting, this does not go on.
no, but,
All right, thank
but
you.
basically,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It should say two. It should be two.
Not too much. Bills and claims, we have bills and claims for fiscal year 2023, $282,572.87. May I have a motion to pay bills?
Motion.
Motion by Melanie, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gary, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? I have read them and find them to be accurate.
So moved.
Motion by Jim, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Melanie, all in favor?
Yes.
Guys, gotta help me out, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
There's one abstention. Gary's got abstention.
I have roll call, please, on the last motion.
Trustee Guerrero,
Yes.
Trustee Ramus,
Yes.
Trustee Phillips,
Abstain.
Trustee DeSalvo,
Yes.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye, motion carries, thank you. All right, we have guests here tonight from the Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery Central School District.
We're filling in for Mr. McElduff. He had a family emergency, personal emergency. Okay.
Thank you everyone for your time. My name is Chris Carmelo. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business in the district, standing in for Superintendent McElduff, so I'll do my best. The new 23-24 budget for our school year next year is $39 million, $36,276. It is a rollover budget, which means we are maintaining all the current academic, athletic, and extracurricular programs intact for the new school year. And that is an 8.57% increase, or a $3,082,376 increase. The key drivers of that, to make everyone clear, is a new transportation contract. We've had our transportation costs go up. It's the first time we've gone out for a contract in about 6 or 7 years, and with the challenges on drivers as well as just fuel costs, those contracts across the state are going up. Additional to that, there is the new BOCES capital project, so we have to pay our share of that, which they've done in the OU BOCES. We have also added an instructional position into the budget for the new elementary level position, and that's going to give the district some flexibility as to whether it's right to have another class size if that's necessary, but also potentially to support children who have had some learning loss through the COVID period. We also going to increase security after hours at James I. O'Neill High School. As you know, currently the district has one deputy sheriff in each of our 3 schools, but that runs through the majority just of the school day. At James I. O'Neill, however, the school day runs longer, past that 2:30 or 3 o'clock point, well into the evening. We are going to have in the budget an additional deputy sheriff in for those later hours to help ensure security for the students and the staff in those later hours. And then just generally energy cost escalation, which I'm sure we're all feeling, that's also going to be a reality for the district as well. Associated with that, is a increase in the tax levy of 1.44%. That is below the tax levy limit this year of 2.17%. So I just want to highlight again, 1.44% increase, which translates to a $6.59 monthly increase on a home of $250,000 in value. The bottom line, though, is the district continues to put out a fiscally responsible budget in support of the needs of the students across the district while doing our best to not overburden the taxpayers. In the event the budget were not to pass, the district would have to go to what's called a contingency budget, which means we would reduce the budget by $163,220. We would not be able to increase the taxes at all. And we'd have to start looking at additional areas to draw down those dollars. In the administrative side is a primary area that the state regulations require you to look, and that means we'd have to bring down those administrative costs, and that is the area where things like the sheriff deputy security is located in the budget. So we'd have to incorporate cutting that out in order to try to meet the reduction necessary. Additionally, we'd have to look at decreasing funding and transportation costs. Obviously, we'd still have to ensure that all students get to their schools every day and home every day, but other things like extracurricular activities, athletics, field trips could be impacted. We would also be required by law to charge the community for any use of the facilities. This really impacts 2 areas of the community. One, the rec department. We utilize a lot of school district facilities, and also the Connect program, which is run by the West Point Association of Graduates. Right now they do some wonderful things at our schools, but we would have to, by regulation, charge them for that. In addition to something called the I-payment, which we here in Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery School District are recipients of because of the fact that the federal government owns a lot of our potentially taxable land. The government provides a payment, an impact payment to sort of compensate the district for not being able to tax that land. And I just want to ask Board President Lawless to come up and speak to that a little bit.
So at the town board meeting, I heard after the fact that I sounded, from several parents, one parent came up to me and said I sounded like I was threatening them. And I promise you I'm not threatening, I'm just wanting to be transparent and open and explain, okay? So if our budget fails and we have to go back down to 0%, because like we were last year, and that's the rule, and this is part of being on a contingency budget, our tax will go down, to 0%. With that, our maintenance of effort, which would impact our I-payment, which is a $1.2 million that we get, that's tied to our impact aid that we get because we have federal lands, could be affected. Maintenance of effort is, and I want to make sure I explain it correct, it requires the district to make sure there is no reduction on a per pupil basis from the local share of revenue. A contingency budget could impact the ability for us to be eligible for our I-payment from the government. If we're ineligible for our I-payment from the government, that means we would not get the $1.2 million for a given year, which would mean we wouldn't just have to reduce our budget by $166,000, we would lose out on $1.2 million. So that's huge. We can't just take out little things like transportation, other things. We'd be hitting on teachers, program, and it would have a drastic effect on our district. So I'm not threatening, I'm explaining to the residents what would happen if our budget doesn't pass and we had to go to contingency. I will also tell the taxpayers, we have been working feverishly for the past year, for the past 2 months, Chris and I and both superintendent and deputy superintendent, working with our impact aid folks to explain to them why our maintenance of effort numbers are not where they want to see them for the 2022
Current year, basically.
current year, which is our I payment for this year. We still have not received our I payment for this year because they're questioning our 0% tax increase in our calculation for 2 years ago. So this is a definite reality if we can't work to get this budget. And the one thing I want to point out is, yes, our budget went up by 8%, which is by $3 million, but the tax increase to our taxpayers is 1.44%. So we were able to absorb that with cuts in other areas, not to our students at all, and also our increase in our state aid. So if there's any questions at all, feel free to ask them tomorrow before you come out and vote, or ask any of us, reach out to us. We'll be there tomorrow to be able to answer any questions. And please just know what it'll do to our students in our district.
I have one question.
Sure,
For you.
sure.
Okay, you talk about a contingency budget and it's 160 something?
163,000 we would have to
Okay.
reduce our budget by.
So, number one, the money that was received from New York State, federal government for COVID, what happened to that money? Did you put all these HEPA filters in that school system for all the ventilation? That's all been put in? I never read anything about what was ever done with that money. And number two, you have a piece of real estate that's sitting up on Mountain Avenue that's doing absolutely nothing except parking buses. I'm sure you could sell that for more than $160,000.
Okay, so we have looked into selling it,
And we could start making money on that, on the tax rolls,
Okay.
rather than having it sit there
We've looked into.
doing nothing.
Okay, are you done with your question?
I'm done.
Thank you, sir.
And we're done.
Okay. It's okay. I can answer?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know that this question has been asked before, and I know our superintendent, our deputy superintendent have asked and answered it about selling it, and it's not so easy to sell a piece of school property. You have to go through the New York State school boards, but it is possible, but it benefits us more to lease it or rent it out. So we just received a approximately $250,000 grant from Senator Skoufis to put in a heating system that we are now starting to do. And that'll make it much more leasable or
More attractive of a
more
property for people
attractive
to
of a
utilize.
property for people to utilize. And we already have people, including some of our community groups, that are now interested in leasing at least sections of it out.
So if you rent that building, does the village glean anything from that?
The
Do you
school
get any tax
district
money from
does,
that?
the school district does,
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
it's still a waste of a piece of property.
It's not a
It
waste
should
of
be-
a
it
piece
should
of
be put
property
on a
because
pay-
our
on a roll.
students, because the school district will benefit from it. So, and right now, the building is not sellable because it's not usable, so it would have to be, I mean, think about it, it would most likely have to be torn down,
It's
demolished.
the property that's
Mhm.
of
I
value.
get what you're
The
saying.
school is a piece of
We've
junk.
looked into selling it, we have looked into selling it, but there's other things behind it that I'm not gonna say in the public.
And
Yes,
you know,
please.
it's a $250,000 grant from Skoufis, and you're gonna use it to put a heating and cooling system in a
That's,
building that really is not usable. So heating and cooling it.
it is
just-
usable if we put that heating and cooling in. There have been many people that couldn't, many groups that have come in and looked at it. AOG, Give me-
I honestly don't know the background, I apologize.
Okay, no, not a problem.
Yeah.
AOG, some of the church groups as well, but they couldn't afford to put the heating and cooling ventilation systems in. And once they have that, that was one of their biggest expenses. Also, what's a good thing about that building, it can be sectioned off.
My
So-
understanding was when AOG took a look at it,
Mhm.
it was gonna cost them $14 million because it was full of asbestos, a lot of other things that they needed to do to actually make it into a usable building. I don't know the details, that is what I heard. So I'm just not sure if $250,000 for heating and cooling is putting lipstick on a pig.
There's also
that
a lot
you're
of
not-
mold in that school. I walk by it every day.
There's been studies done, but I can't stand here and tell you that I have all the answers, because I don't, and the two people that do, unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight. They had personal emergencies, I'm sorry. But I could definitely ask them to get back to the community and make sure that we get that information out. Go ahead.
Okay, so just the $250,000 grant, is that like a matching grant? Would the school have to add some money for the
No.
upgrade? So the upgrades would be covered by the 250? Great. And I had asked in the past at a meeting,
Yes, please.
if we do get that, and you don't get any bites on people coming in, private entities, maybe we can work with the school, the town, and the village to
Yes.
create a youth community center, something to think about.
No, it's
I
not,
just
if you
threw it
think
out.
about it, it's definitely something that would definitely be.
Fantastic. And then I had just one other quick thing. So the BOCES ones that we had to do, is that based on per student, or is it like a portion per each district?
It is a portion, you're talking about the, I want to make sure I'm clear, you're talking about the BOCES capital project?
Yeah, that we have to
We
contribute.
have to contribute our portion of it, yes, so it is portioned out across the member districts of the BOCES. And yes, it's based on a weighted average of students that are in the district.
Okay, thanks.
Not
we're not paying the same amount of-
weighted on the students that go to BOCES. It's based on the students that are in the district, which Ann Lawless has a problem with, but we'll just let it go.
One
Okay?
more question
Of
on the
course.
AOG Connect program. You had mentioned that you're gonna have to charge them for being
Yes.
there?
Because
Even
right
though
now,
they're
we-
doing this out of pocket, the
Yes.
after-school program?
not us, it's
It's
the law. It's
Under
New
the
York State
regulation, if you're in a
regulation.
contingency budget, any use of any school district facilities, you have to charge for it.
But
Same
they're
thing-
using it for your students
Right.
as an after-school
Yeah, same thing with
educational
the
program.
rec.
It would still have to be the case.
Same thing with the rec programs. We do that for our community. Most of them are our students, but by law, we would have to charge them. We've had to do it several years ago when we were in contingency as well. It's a shame, but it's a law.
Yeah, doesn't that discourage good ideas like this for the students that they're getting for free? West Point graduates
Of
are
course it
actually, have invested hundreds of thousands already
Yes.
in trying to get students in the
Yes.
intermediate school to stay after school and have further academics.
We don't want to do this,
No.
but our hands are tied if we have to. We don't want to go on contingency. We don't plan on going on contingency. That's why we've worked so hard on this budget to get it down to the 1.44% and to work with the state aid that we got and to do what we can do. And I do need to say publicly, I mean, you guys work with West Point Shores too. I know with your, with some of the stuff that you guys do in the community. They have been great partners with us through this contract, with the new contract. They have been great with us. They came back and we talked to them about our contract. They met with us. They gave us great, they worked with us.
Very
So
realistic rates.
they were very realistic with the rates. So,
I just have a question, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So we have a new superintendent, and the old superintendent stayed on, am I correct?
he is filling in for our assistant superintendent of curriculum
And then-
instruction, because we've appointed one, but she's currently the principal at the Fort Montgomery Elementary School. She will move into the job on July
and-
1st, when our deputy superintendent will officially retire.
Okay, so he's receiving a pension. How much per day is he staying on for?
It's a salary, not a pension.
Yeah,
Or-
It's a salary.
What's, how much
Honestly,
is
don't
the
recall
salary?
the number off the top of my head at the
Off the
moment.
top
I
of
don't
my
have
head,
the
but
details.
I'm sure if
I'm-
you
I'm
call the
just-
district, you could find out.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, as a taxpayer, if we're not a little bit maybe top-heavy.
We're not top
Yeah.
heavy, we're
Okay.
saving money, being that he's
Okay.
there doing 2 jobs. I mean, basically doing her job, she's also learning from him. If you check, we're saving money from what we're paying him right now.
He was also instrumental in helping to develop the capital project vote that was recently brought forward. Given she was experienced in that space from the previous project, that was a really key piece to ensuring that it would go through as well as it did.
And the new superintendent is just running the school?
Correct. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
Okay,
for
two-
letting us.
two
Oh,
quick
I'm
things.
sorry.
no, these aren't, just comments, not questions.
Yes,
The AOG with the Connect program is excellent.
fantastic.
Do
Better than
everything you
excellent.
can and never lose it. Number two, those who think that the school, empty school on Mountain Avenue should be sold or something, I guess you have different somethings in mind, should be addressed as soon as possible. It's been there too long empty. It's been there too long empty. Okay, it's not right, for
Agreed.
different reasons.
Agreed.
It's not right. So can you tell us then, something there will be happening,
Yes.
besides air conditioning and heating?
The air conditioning was the biggest thing we heard from we must have brought, and Frank has the numbers, but I would say 10 different groups in to look at it, at least.
No,
And the biggest thing was the air conditioning.
Yeah, I
So we
understand.
brought James in, he got us this grant. The grant money is finally coming through, it does take a while, it's finally coming through.
I know.
We now got the okay to order all the parts, but we're starting to get movement again, because now they're hearing, okay, it's gonna have the heating and air conditioning. So
Okay.
we're getting movement again, but I totally agree with you.
I hope a year from now, when you come back to do this budget talk again, that building has tenants.
I hope so too.
I mean, it would be,
I hope so,
it's
too.
wrong if it doesn't.
You're
Someone,
100% correct.
something's not right.
I agree.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for letting us talk.
Thank
Okay,
you very much.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay. You gonna stay?
I'm gonna stay for a little while.
Wow. You like punishment?
No, it's not punishment, I wanna hear. You can go.
Okay, we have a resolution next on the agenda for the transfer of funds. These funds that I'm going to read here are funds that, when we do the budget, we put into vehicle reserves, along with village hall repairs, fire department, truck, vehicles, and the water department, the sewer department, the highway department. And you'll hear that in a minute from me. And it's built up. We have reserve funds for all that I'm going to say. This is the current budget we're in, which ends May 31. This money will be transferred June 1 over into the contingencies of each one of these reserve funds for vehicles, and will increase the amount so that when we do the budget again next year, if someone needs a truck, we probably will be able to pay for it instead of making it part of the direct budget itself to the taxpayers. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls wishes to extend prudent, to the extent prudent, to set aside from budget lines not fully used certain sums to provide for fully stability of operations, protecting taxpayers from unforeseen needs. And whereas the village, by demonstrating its financial health, will permit from borrowing at more attractive interest rates. Now therefore be it resolved that the village makes the following outlays from its 2023 budget to provide for reserves as follows. Transfer the following allocations in the budget. Village Hall Repair Reserve, $15,000. We'll be adding to the existing money. Fire Department Truck Reserve, $60,000. Fire Department Truck Reserve, Command Vehicle, $5,000. DPW Village Reserve, $15,000. Water Department Vehicle Reserve, $10,000. Sewer Department Reserve Vehicle Reserve, $10,000. That adds up to $115,000. Transfers from category A through D above to line A000 0.0962. Transfer fund category E above to line F 0000.0962. Transfer funds category F above in line to G 0000.0962. All transfers to be deposited in accordance with the village investment policy into the reserved account hereby established. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have roll?
Discussion first?
Yes.
Because I'm not understanding what this resolution is. Those funds, those reserve funds are already on those line items and the adopted budget that we adopted 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's
Right.
next year. Is that the new budget?
Yeah.
Okay, so if those numbers different, that's next year's budget.
That's
A year from now,
exactly the
we'll do
same.
that exact same, a year from now, we'll do that.
Okay, so what we're doing is the budget that's our current budget
Another
now.
2 weeks, yeah.
Okay, our current budget now, these are not on those, or these are on those?
These are in the budget that we still have 2 weeks left. We voted to do this last year, a year ago.
Okay, so it's already there, we adopted
this is
it
not
to
new
be
money.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we trying to do? If it's already there,
Well,
why
this
are
is
we
legally
doing
putting it into where it goes. It's the law. This is how you do it.
I know.
Okay.
So we're establishing the reserve funds that we put in on the budget for last year. The money is not in the reserve fund yet? So that's what we're trying to do?
Yeah.
I guess I'm not understanding.
The year, let me see, I want to get this right. The budget 2023, which we have 2 weeks left. That budget, if you had it there, which is the budget we're in now, not that one, that's the new one coming up.
This is 2022-2023 budget. We adopted it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And this resolution,
maybe
this
I'm not
resolution
understanding.
says that outlays from its 2022-2023 budget, it's talking about the 2022-2023 budget, the one that we adopted.
No,
Exactly.
No.
Okay, so what are we trying to do? I guess I'm not understanding. What are we trying to do with
you
this
try-
115,000?
The budget we approved a couple weeks ago was for 2023, 2024.
Is that one?
Ah, okay,
So-
I
so
gotcha,
this-
okay.
Yeah, we moved the money towards the end of the fiscal year that we're in, just to see, make sure nothing catastrophic happened in any one line item, so that we know that the money will be there to transfer over. So we know that the funds are available to transfer, we plan on transferring them, and so now that's what we do.
So it was in the 2022-2023 budget,
Right,
okay?
These
And we're
amounts.
transferring these amounts that was in the budget last year
this year.
to the budget next year?
It's not, no, it's not last year's budget, we're in the
Sounds
current.
like a shell game,
Oh, come on,
right?
Melanie,
No,
it's not
I
a shell
just don't
game.
get it. It's-
Come on.
We already adopted the budget
Wait a minute.
for last year, we got 2 weeks left, and then we're moving this same money that we adopted the budget on, and nobody can seem to explain to me what we're really trying to do with
No,
this
we're trying to explain
115.
it's just that maybe it's a little confusing for you,
No,
I don't know.
We're still in,
You want to try?
do it for school.
we are still in the 2022,
Yeah.
2023 budget.
Right.
We're still in it.
Right.
So as we get the year end to a close, our fiscal year end to a close, we're transferring the money out of the line items from
It's
the
in that
budget,
budget.
to the reserve accounts. That's all we're doing.
We didn't do that in the beginning?
No.
No, we always do it at the end of the year.
Oh, I see.
End of the budget.
Okay.
Always.
Okay, I got you.
Okay,
All right.
I think, do I have?
Sorry, I didn't.
No, that's okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I would please, if you don't get it, I get it, I understand that, but I wouldn't call it a shell game.
It's not shocking.
Well, that's what that's a term you've used many times before.
Well,
That it's
some-
just a shot, oh,
some
see,
of your
no,
examples are a
but
shell game.
you can't use
Some of
it
your
and then not let me use
I
it.
have a motion, on the floor.
Yeah.
I have a motion, I have a second, correct?
Yes.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Ramos?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes,
Mayor D'Onofrio?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much. All right, next we have to retain the consultant, Millennium Grant Consulting Services at a flat,
Nope, it's that one.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Sorry, I skipped one. Next is on the agenda is to approve the salary of the treasurer at $35,100 annually. May I have a motion?
What is it now?
I believe that's what Ralph is.
Oh, so that is, so no change. Okay.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, next we have an agreement with Millennium to be our grant writers, for which we desperately need grants at a flat monthly fee of $3,000, payable in 12 equal monthly installments. May I have a motion? Go ahead.
But not to exceed 30?
Not to exceed 36.
Yeah, it's monthly.
It's 30.
3,000.
Huh?
It's 3,000.
Yeah, it'll stay at 30. It won't go to 30. It won't go higher than that. Anyway,
But if it's a monthly 3,000, then it would be 36.
well, the last month will be, maybe the last 2 months will be adjusted. I'm meeting with them next week and I'll take care of that.
So you want it for not to exceed 30?
No, I have no problem with you saying not to exceed 30 if you want to change it. I have no problem with that.
That's how I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Lynette, you have the motion
Yes,
by these two gentlemen and not to exceed 30.
yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Next on the agenda is to approve Alexander Perez. Is he here? And Clarissa Cisco as Highland Falls Fire Department members, pending medical clearance with the recommendation of Eric Smith. So you still have to do your medical?
I actually just got that back.
Okay, so
Chief will approve that.
So let's approve it the way it's written here, and then we'll get the paperwork on the two of you handed into the clerk. So if I could have a motion to approve these folks to be in the Highland Falls Fire Department, pending proper paperwork, that would be the date you would start.
So moved.
Second. Sorry, Jim.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
One you do.
Could we approve the River Keeper and the American Water Company that has an office at the north end to host a cleanup event along Highland Brook? I think you have the paperwork there. It'll be May 24th, rain date May 31, 8 in the morning till noon. Clean debris along Highland Brook. I would assume they're going to start at the top and work down. So if anyone wishes maybe to join them, but if we could approve this, insurance has been given.
I'll make the motion. I believe Riverkeeper does a fantastic job, not only on a project like this, but throughout the whole Hudson Valley corridor.
Second.
I have a second, right? You heard? Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. American Legion, Post 633, to hold a memorial event at Memorial Park on May 29th at 9 in the morning. Their application is here. We have insurance?
Yes,
You have it, right?
yeah.
Could we approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gary. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? I'm sorry. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Town of Highlands United Youth Group, their second annual Community Fun Day, which is really building at Royal Park. It's going to be on Fickens Field on June 3rd, 2023. Insurance to be provided. The insurance is provided by the school That's between the school and the United Youth Group. The reason this is on the agenda is they feel there could be they might have so many folks coming as vendors and events that day that they might want to spill over into Roe Park. They're not sure. So that's what the permission tonight would be for them if they had to move on to Roe Park, if Pickens Field got filled, and the village will pick up the insurance for that event. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Melanie. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, next, could we approve the Town of Highlands to hold their 7th annual Town of Highlands Juneteenth parade on Saturday, June 17th, from Thayer Gate to Memorial Park? You have that request there, you have their insurance.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have our annual farmers market that's coming back at Lot 2, which is across from Sacred Heart, the same lot they've been in on Sundays, from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. June 11th they're going to start, and they'll go to October 29th. Motion.
Second.
Insurance has been given, and everything's in order. We have a motion by Jim, second by Jim DeSalvo. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Could we approve the village clerk to sign consent form with the New York State Gaming Commission, Division of Charitable Gaming, to sell raffle tickets in our community starting May 20th, 2023?
Who is this from?
Yeah, well, it's from the state.
Yeah, but it's an outfit out of Middletown, or Masonic War Veterans, Bethel, post number 29. I don't think we've ever approved this.
Yeah, it's a veterans post.
Are they set up someplace to do a raffle, or how are they gonna be doing this?
So we can call them, Lene, tomorrow, if the board wishes, find out a little bit more. I didn't see this on the agenda till now, and
Just to be clear, I'm not against it.
No, I understand.
We already have so many different organizations in town, including veterans, that, are looking, trying to get funds and stuff. So these folks are way out of Middletown, and they look like they've listed Town of Goshen, Village of Highland Falls, Town of Monroe, Village of Monroe, Town of Newburgh, City of Port Jervis, Village of Walden, Village of Warwick. So, they're looking to go in a bunch of different communities, and that's fine, I guess.
let's find out a little bit more. And it isn't that they want to do it on May 20th, they want to start on May 20th. So we have time to get back to them. They might not make that first date of May 20th. Is that all right with the board? I'll table it.
Yes.
Get more information? All right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. That's what we'll do.
I would just make sure that, have they or have they not been licensed by the state to do that?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I've never seen this.
First time I've seen this, so it almost seems like they get permission and then they get licensed.
Well, they get a GC number, which is the raffle consent form number. I don't know if that means,
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So we'll table that, more information. All right, I have a couple add-ons. I want to name tonight as wardens up at Bog Meadow, Tim Green and George Ramus. And we'll notify them after they're approved. And if you guys could help me out with that right now, I guess, we'll get rid of this. They'll help clean up Bog Meadow, because we know people dump up there. So it'd be Tim Green and George Ramus. May I have a motion to allow that?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm gonna
Yes.
abstain.
Okay, may I have roll call?
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Ramos?
Abstain.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes.
Mayor DeNoff?
Yes, thank you so much, motion carried. Okay, another issue that should, I have a memo from the officer in charge recommending that the handicap sign on Church Street, between Church, right off of Church Street and Cousins, be removed. The person has moved, and the handicap spot is no longer needed. So it would come down by the highway department and come out of the code book on our end.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Melanie, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
But Mr. Mayor, come out of the code book, do we need a local law, is it actually in there? Is that-
I actually don't know, I don't think it made it in. I will check.
The time frame was so short.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, that's a good point, and I don't think it did.
if it didn't find it, if they will just need a local law.
And I wrote a note on here to verify if I'm correct. All right, the last thing I have is for the daycare center on top of Schneider Avenue. You may remember at the last meeting that the lady was here who operates it. She has all her credentials and everything looks pretty good. So I'd like to allow this tonight. The highway department's been up there, the police department's been up there, and we have this following resolution. The Board of Trustees is authorized and empowered to make, amend by resolution any rule or regulation for the reasonable control of traffic on the public streets in the village pursuant to section 108-3 of the Code of the Village of Highland Falls. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees as follows. This is a type 2 action under seeker. 2, the section 108-22, parking prohibited certain hours by amended to include the following. The name of the street, Schneider Avenue. Side, west side. Location, 2,881.2 feet west of the southwest corner of the intersection of Schneider Avenue and Prospect Street. Be it further resolved that the foregoing amendments as contained in this resolution shall become effective immediately upon publication of the same in the official newspaper of the Village of Highland Falls. May I have a motion? And this will help her out.
So moved.
Yes, Sanjay?
No, I was gonna say.
Okay.
motion.
It's only Monday through Friday, and it's, I think it's 5 a.m., it's either 5 or 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I'll second that.
Okay, and it's right in front of her house. So we have a second by Jim Ramus. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, on the last thing on the agenda is for a special meeting. Again, we do each year, the last day or second to last day at the end of our fiscal year, which is coming up on May 31. So I have a meeting on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023 at 9 a.m. to approve bills for this year that we're in now. I'm hoping I can get 2 of you there. I'd like to have all of you there. It'll be to pay bills at the end of the year between today and May 30th. May I have a motion to set that date and time for that purpose?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so that's the... Okay, before I do my comments, public comment. Anything?
Hi, Edward Dunn. There you go, we can't hear you. Can't hear me?
TV people. No, no, TV.
All right, are you done? All right. Just recently, May 30th, my brother-in-law, Billy Barron, died. And many people have died around the area, and this has nothing to do with his death. What it has to do with is emergency services. Now, we have been going on with respect to cellular towers in Highland Falls and Fort Montgomery. When does it become a clear and present danger that one person can hold 6,000 people who live in a community hostage? When is it a clear and present danger? When does it become a crime that one person can hold up something for 6,000 people in a community?
Mr. Mayor, do you want me to ask that? No.
So I'm going to let it's a great question. The question is actually overdue. You wouldn't believe the hours and the meetings and the aggravation that I go through every day, Monday through Sunday, not Monday through Friday, with no cell tower, no cell reception. And how hard we've been working on this. But when you have someone that has you in court, and she just sits home and pounds paper out, it's more than wrong. No, I know you understand, but you made the comment, you asked the question, this is part of the answer, whether you know it or not. Hundreds, I want people to hear this, hundreds of thousands of dollars, legal fees that the village has paid, that the town has paid. And I believe it might not be cell tower lawsuits, but I think that school has some lawsuits going on, or did, by the same person. And let's name the person, okay?
We've had lawsuits too with the planning board.
Yeah,
We've had
the planning board, the zoning board.
That's not the point I'm getting at. The point I'm getting at really is, when Billy went down, he had a friend that came and checked in on him and found him down. The neighbor went over to his house, tried to make a phone call to get emergency services over there. Could not make a phone call. Luckily, he went back to his own house and was able to use his Wi-Fi communications in order to get a call out. Now, in that time period, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. That's life and death for a person. This is the point I'm driving home here. When does it become a clear and present danger? We have the clear and present danger doctrine in the Constitution. We have nothing that can help us out as a community. Most people now are using cellular service for all of their telephone needs. They're not using hardline phones. They're actually not worth it in a lot of circumstances. So, you're the lawyer, what can we do?
Well, first I want to make it clear that there has been no injunction filed by any court. We have opposed any attempt, we being the town and village, have opposed any attempt for injunctive relief. So there is no injunctive relief. What that means is there has been no stop to any of the activities related to any of the cell towers placements. They're going forward, they have not been stopped. So if the fact is, they're just not up yet.
I understand everything you're saying. I mean, we've bandied this about time and time again. All I'm talking about, when does it come down to a point to where a person's life means something?
It already has.
You know what I'm saying?
It already has. We had a trustee drop up here.
I understand.
We couldn't get reception.
The other day there was an accident down on Mountain Avenue, right? Mountain Avenue, Main Street. That's a dead zone right there. You don't get anything there. You can throw your cell phone up in the air. Maybe.
All I can tell you is what the attorney said to you. We're moving forward.
I know that we're moving forward with Article 78. I mean, Article 78, then an appeal, and then what's after your appeal?
Well,
Is that final judgment?
I think
The point is that in order to stop the progress, there would have had to have been injunctive relief granted. That has not happened, and I venture to say is not going to happen. So we've been very successful in blocking every attempt to do that, which means that it's progressing at its own speed. Nothing has stopped it in terms of the lawsuits. I will say, however, that because of the expense and the lawsuits and the knowledge that you're likely going to be sued, we have been very, very cautious, and we have moved at a pace to make sure that any lawsuit would be meritless, which is the case. That doesn't mean that you don't have to fight the lawsuit, it just means that
No, I understand.
But in layman's terms, the one antenna is up at the senior center. We are in the process of trying to finalize to get the next one. So hopefully that will take care of the coverage.
Building permits have been issued.
Yeah.
But that one's.
Yeah, I know,
up
they've
this
all
whole
been
time.
issued, I know that, but there's still nothing with electricity going to it.
Well, that isn't because of the lawsuits.
I know.
Put it that way.
It's not because of the lawsuit?
No, no, not at all. We're moving forward.
Then why aren't they fired up yet?
It just takes that long to do it.
Surprising you, man. They have to,
It's
oh,
surprising.
I am. There's all kinds of equipment they have to put up
I
there.
don't know exactly what's going on.
Okay, well then you know, so I can't tell you anything. Okay.
All I'm saying is that, why can't we, as a village or as a town, make a preemptive strike? Get the stuff, get it up there.
We are.
Well,
And this has been going on for what, 3 years now?
The village had the presence of mind to adopt a local law back in 2020 that essentially said, if you're gonna put a cell facility on village-owned property, you're exempt from going to the planning board or the zoning board, which shortened the process by months and months if you put the facility. So the village board at that time had the presence of mind to do that, so that it would accelerate the process, probably saving a year to 2 years, including multiple litigations if you had to then sue the planning board or sue the zoning board, etc. So I think that this board can be congratulated on that. That doesn't mean that you can ignore seeker legally, or that you don't have a good building permit, or that you don't have your plans reviewed by a qualified engineer.
Right, I know.
Well, you know all that, but yet you're asking the
I know, that's-
question,
I don't
why
know what
isn't
you
it
want.
done?
That's not the point that I'm arguing. The point I'm arguing is why can't we get a cell tower up because of one person?
It's
the
not,
one
she
person-
has nothing to do with,
We are.
that person
The answer
has nothing
it is
to
we are.
do with the pace at which this has progressed.
Indirectly, sort of, because we're taking slower time to make sure we didn't make any mistakes, so she can't find a hole to dig into. Nobody wants the antennas up more than, well, I'll speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure the board, nobody wants it to work more than me, I'll tell you that right now, because you can't do it, you can't conduct it. On top of public safety, you cannot conduct business from the whole section of town, right here on Main Street. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, I agree with you, and I agree that we're moving forward with it. It will come up, it will be working eventually.
I will say that the original intention for this village hall, the original proposal from the cell tower facilitator was to put the equipment in the back. That wasn't going to work, so the whole process had to be reviewed again, including the engineering plans, which included a structural analysis of this building to make sure that it could be put on the roof. So there was a bit of a delay there, but it had nothing to do with lawsuits. It had to do with the engineering changes that needed to be made.
Okay, so you're telling me, or the whole village, that these lawsuits had nothing to do with the pace that these antennas are going up?
The village
A little bit to do with it.
the village went through a process that they would have had to go through no matter what. And I'm talking about now seeker, accepting the applications, the seeker process, etc. That would all have to have been done anyway, whether there was a lawsuit or not, because that's the law, and the village followed the law. I will say again that this board had the presence of mind to exempt cell tower facilities placed on village property. That saved 1 to 2 years for the process to complete, because they didn't have to go before you guys, and they didn't have to go through any kind of zoning ordinance. So, that's it.
There were 6 to 8 months that Verizon negotiated with the property owner in the back to come up with a pad that they could put all their equipment. That was 6 to 8 months, and the answer, whatever deal the owner wanted and Verizon didn't want to pay, or whatever that happened there, that's when the roof started, and that's when the structural engineer had to be brought in. So,
But we are moving forward.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
you're a good man, and this question is aimed at you. These, because the only way I learn is by asking questions. These 70-year-old filters that were to go in the water plant, the main filters, how's that going?
Well, they have, they were up there not too long ago, and then, it's, Hazen and Sawyer, is it? Hazen and Sawyer's up there, and they're gonna be they were here for 2 days doing testings on the filter media. Results didn't come back yet, and we're just waiting for the results for that on it.
And the cost, because the figures were,
We don't know the cost yet, because the way the medium is, the way it's built, it all depends on what's washed away, what's still good, and then they'll come up with a plan from there, how much the price would be.
also you're looking at rebuilding rather than getting
We're
new.
looking at the guidance from Hazen and Sawyer to see what's left of the 70-year-old filters, the medium, and see where that is, where it's laying at, and then we're gonna take recommendations from them.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, thanks.
Joe DeWitt, Town Council, Village Resident, Hello Gary. Question, any plans to grade the road to Bog Meadow? It's a mess. Okay, so I'm sure you know, but I was gonna ask if that's on the list of things to do. And I know you got some new stewards you were talking about tonight for Bog Meadow. And season's coming up, the ruts are horrific. And the only other thing is to say, there's an incredible food need that goes down here in the village, and there's 2 amazing food pantries that run out of Sacred Heart and the Holy Innocents Church. They get the food from the food bank in Cornwall and Hudson, and often they need volunteers with pickup trucks to help bring the food. So if anybody's interested in reaching out and helping on, it usually happens the 1st and 3rd Mondays. The food bank's open on Wednesdays, but they load in on Mondays of that week. If anybody wants to help out, you can reach me through my town email or Sally Dorst. The more hands on deck to be in her rotation, it would be very helpful. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
So with the food banks, they are, as was said, there's 2 of them, and they're very well needed and used by those that are in need. It's probably over 100 families a week, maybe twice a week. The village, on a regular basis, with 2 personnel, village personnel and village truck, almost every week, we did it today, go over to Cornwall where the centralized food bank is, where they give allotments to different municipality food banks. So help is always needed. Boxes are sometimes heavy. I've done it, and the village will continue to support the food pantries. Anything else? Okay. I'm going to go through a list real quick. I'll open it up to the trustees, and then we can go home. You know, I was thinking about this thing, that old saying, it takes a village. It does take a village to facilitate everything that's needed to make a village that you want. And sometimes my trustees laugh at me when I bring up beautification. I'm into beautification, and we set aside a certain amount of dollars, and flowers are bought, and that's the easy part. But the harder part is planting them. And so there really isn't, you know, there's not a real functional beautification committee. I have 2 ladies that do it, and I want to thank them, because yes, it takes a village. Even 2 people, even just 2 people, make that village better. And those 2 people, maybe during the day you've seen them out there. You look at the hanging baskets, you look at the sidewalk planters, the trees, just so much. Memorial Park, Lady Cliff Park looks beautiful. We're not even done yet. But those 2 people are Jody Downey, I think she's a retired school teacher, and Fran DeWitt, who also worked at the school, correct, Ann?
Yes.
So you have 2 retired school personnel who have jumped into into the shovels and the dirt and the flowers, and if you see either one of them, Jody Downey or Fran DeWitt, just say thanks. Just say thanks, that means a lot. So, I say thank you to both of you tonight. We're finishing the paperwork for the $100,000 Main Street grant that Senator Skoufis awarded us. We're almost done with the paperwork. Soon we'll have completed the 23 Community Development Block Grant. As we talked earlier, it could be the elevator. On May 22, if anyone on the board wants to join me, we're going to have a tabletop drill with Orange and Rockland, who's sponsoring it. And it'll be, and I'll have DPW there, water, wastewater, and the police have all been asked to come, and it's a storm response. Comp plan is almost completed. I think we have our last meeting on May 22, Zoom meeting. There's a meeting coming up in June with Badger Meter Company. They're the water meters. So we can get a handle on those that aren't working. I mentioned before Family Fun Day at Fickens Field. On the 10th of June also is the annual Lady Cliff reunion. So they'll come back, there'll be a service at Sacred Heart, and then we all go over to Lady Cliff Park and raise the flag. They have a Lady Cliff has a flag that I made them years ago. And then they go to West Point and have a luncheon and have meetings. But they'll be back in town, and they always love coming back here. We'll be meeting soon with a landscape architect at Roe Park to talk about the south end where the weeping willow trees used to be, and kind of dressing. There can be something done there. It's too open. It doesn't look good. So we'll have an architect, landscaper tell us what he thinks we should do. I know on the east side, there's an area where I want us to look at for Picnic Grove. Trustee DeSalvo brought up putting a new fence, the chain link fence around the park, a new one up, and that's what we're going to do. There's many areas that are busted, and some of the gates aren't working, and chain link fence is something of the past, more or less now. It'll be chain link, but it'll probably be the black plastic coating over the fence. Military banners. You remember a few years ago we had military banners, beautiful, large, they were great, hanging on all the telephone poles, and then they were taken down, and I think they were put up again, and I'm not sure if they made it a third year, but I think the folks that bought the banner got the banners back. Now what was left on the telephone pole was the bracket from each one. So I'm asking the public, if you have a military banner and you would like us to put it, the village to put it back up, I think the chamber sponsored this, but now I'm not sponsoring anything. I'm just going to tell you the village employees will hang your banner, military banner, back up. If you drop it off at Village Hall.
June 2nd.
Who said that? Is that what I told you? June 2nd. So that's a couple of weeks. Yeah.
No, you have one of the banners right there.
Okay. Yeah. So June 2nd, drop it off at Village Hall, and the following week, permitting, but soon after, we'll put them all up. A few days ago, I attended the community's leadership forum at West Point with the superintendent and the garrison commander, and a lot of other folks were there from all different agencies on West Point. And it's a way that they share and discuss information and services that are current for them. And so I know Councilman DeWitt was there, and they allowed us to speak, which was nice. And I think we all took a little of the information back with us. Cell tower, this reminds me of the cell tower. I couldn't have been more embarrassed and upset last week when I had made arrangements for the Department of Motor Vehicle to come here with a mobile unit they have, and they pulled up front, and there had to be 20, 25 people there, which made me happy. But After a half hour, they had no connection. It was bad. You had these people waiting there. They came here so they wouldn't have to go to Newburgh and wait. And they ended up waiting on the sidewalk in Highland Falls. So then we said, okay, let's go up to lot 2. We'll be okay. So the vehicle goes up there, all the folks go up there. I can't get reception there either. It was bad. It was bad. It was embarrassing. Finally, now here's an hour, more than an hour later, somebody moved something inside that mobile unit and they picked up a signal. Extremely slow, very slow. But they were able to facilitate all the people that waited. So, another reason I bring that up, I've asked them to come back. So they're going to come back on June 6th. And we talked at length. They have figured something out. I don't know about all this Wi-Fi stuff, but they have figured something out that they will get reception when they come back on June 6th. So that problem, I'm going to get run over here, that problem won't happen again with the Department of Motor Vehicle.
I actually saw the village clerk, the county clerk today, and she mentioned this, and I guess they got some kind of new, out of my pay grade, but some kind of booster cellular device, but not for like a booster for a Wi-Fi, something else. So she said IT at the county said it would probably work, so it's funny you brought it up, because I literally saw her this afternoon. Okay, the last thing I have is the 4th of July. It's coming quick. I just want to do this quick. We have 4 days of events. July 1, we're going to have a concert. If anyone want to write this down, or you can remember, if you Google Whiskey Crossing, that's the band we're having. A little different than our past years. I think you're going to like it. Whiskey Crossing. Following day, we'll have canoe races at Roe Park at 2 p.m. and we'll have bed races. We're going to bring them back after with COVID, about maybe 3 years of not having them. That'll be on July 2 at 6 p.m. So canoe races and bed races both on July 2. On July 3 at Memorial Park, another concert where I'll honor our Grand Marshal this year, Kenny Conley, and past Grand Marshals. And then on the following day, the 4th of July, will be our parade at 3 p.m., Roe Park, fireworks at 9 o'clock. So a lot of things for kids. We're going to have a watermelon eating contest. We're going to have a water balloon contest. We're going to have an egg race contest, wheelbarrow contest, and a hula hoop contest. I'm hoping that the village board would enter the hula hoop contest. Think about it.
I can do that.
Think about it. I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Think about it. Okay, that's all my stuff for tonight. I'll go down the board here. Melanie?
Me first? Okay. Ed, sorry about your cousin or your friend? Brother-in-law. But like Ali said, we are moving forward with the cell towers. And I would just say to everybody who's listening, if you cannot dial 911 because you don't have a cell signal, you certainly cannot dial 845-446-4911. So if you have just an instant of a signal, dial 911, Orange County 911, and not Linfield Dispatch. I do have just a couple of things to say about the building department. Phil Hannawalt is going to be back on Thursday and back to from 2 weeks of vacation. I don't have anything to report. And the Connect program, number 2, that was mentioned by the school board tonight. It's really a great program. It's free to us taxpayers. West Point graduates through the AOG, the alumni, sponsors it. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just to have an after-school program for the intermediate school students. And they currently have 191 students registered. Each student can enroll in 4 out of 12 elective choices to include academic help. They hire all the teachers, they even hire security, they buy them iPads. And on March 25th, they partnered with the Center of Highland Falls to bring 25 of those students to meet SCUFUS in Albany. They even have a garden. It's up and running. They installed a greenhouse. They have vegetables that are currently sprouting. They have an outdoor mural, again, at their own expense, for students to actually paint and prime the wall. Connect wants me to mention that they welcome visitors to the program. So if you just want to come and see what they're doing in there, they have student ambassadors for each class to welcome anybody who wants to see what the program is about. And next week, they're going to have 3 tours, and the kids will give you the tour. So that is the Connect program. I am sad to hear that the school is going to charge them money for actually having this program.
That's only on a contingency budget though, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Not on a regular budget.
So
Correct.
that would be too bad if that were to happen.
It's not happening.
Okay.
You always have something to say. Okay, the center, the center wants me to announce that the American Legion will be collecting for the VA at Castle Point some items for homeless veterans. And really what they're looking for are toilet paper, paper towels, disposable razors, shaving cream, laundry detergent, disinfecting wipes, sponges, garbage bags. If you can drop it off at the center before the 17th, and Tuesdays, Thursdays from 10 to 12, and Saturday and Wednesday anytime. So that's for homeless veterans.
Great.
And the other thing is we are, as veterans, meeting on Fridays at Gracie's Market around 9:30 in the morning until about 11 o'clock. So we've met quite a few veterans there, myself and Ty King. And I think it's just for us to have camaraderie and friendship and coffee. And the last thing that I will mention is the Town of Highlands United Youth Group with Sally Dorsch. On Saturday, they had a car wash, they had a bake sale. It was really a fantastic way to have all the children there. And I went around and I had 2 simple questions to the kids. And all of them had the same exact answers. The number 1 question is, why are you here? And the number 2 question is, what are you doing with the money that you're getting, right? So why? Everybody answered, we're fundraising so that we can have a family fun day. Number 2, I asked, well, why do you want a family fun day? And they said, because we want families to come out of their house and meet other families for the community. This is the way you do it. If you have a passion for something and you put a group together, you fundraise, you teach the kids something for personal development, you teach them leadership skills. She brings them up here to the village board, the town board, let them speak, give them confidence. That's how you fundraise for something that you're passionate about, okay? The community, I think she wants me to put out a disclaimer that the Community Connect Corporation by Jen Gargiulio wants us to put a disclaimer that the Town of Highlands Youth Group, United Youth Group, has nothing to do with her. And in fact, they don't, okay? They don't. It's a disclaimer that she wants us to put out because she thinks that the United Youth Group is not managing the money that they're fundraising with well. So I want to tell you that I think Sally Dorsch's leadership, she's doing it right. Just 2 years now, they're going to have a family fun day. They don't snuggle up to politicians, you know, so that they would campaign for them, and then they get promised thousands, $10,000 for something that they want. That's not how you do it, okay? You do it the right way, and I think the Town of Highlands United Youth Group does it the right way.
Jim?
All right, so I have April's report from the wastewater treatment facility. The average volume treated for the month was 946,000 gallons a day. We had precipitation, it was a pretty wet month, 10.65 inches. The facility has met all of the DEC speedy permit limitations. They also have consistently checked the Pellwood and Webb Lane pump stations. They are running smooth. No problems there. I know we've done some work there in the past, so it's good to hear that they're operating in the best manner possible. The belt filter press, that was in operation for 11 days. I don't know what the tonnage is on that, but I'll get that for you. We have a couple of services that do annual preventive maintenance, and one was done by Clean H2O Services that was on the chlorination equipment. Another service that we use is Peak Power Systems, and they come down semi-annually, and they do service and preventive maintenance on all 3 generators. We had one guy that keeps jumping around from the sewer department. He's out helping the water department, the street department, and they were repairing water leaks on Cousins Avenue. As like with any of our buildings that we own, whether it's the municipality or the people out there, scraping and painting and priming continues down at the wastewater treatment plant. It's like the bridge. You start on one end, you get to the end, you got to start again. So they're down there consistently working on that. You know, there's no downtime down there. And then the maintenance and lubrication is done on all of the equipment and the places. You can almost see it off the floor, which is kind of surprising for a wastewater treatment plant. So it was nice when I was down there. The mayor touched briefly on the comprehensive plan. I see one of the, actually there's 2 people out in the audience that are on the steering committee.
3.
Oh, 3. Mr. Malika, you had a lot of comments, good comments, always good to hear comments.
Wait a minute.
4.
Wait a minute, there's 4.
4.
1, raise your hand, buddy. 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
It's all right.
there's more than 4, but there's 4 in the room now.
There's 5.
You can help. I don't count myself, Mr. Mayor. Anyway, a lot of good comments. Mr. Dunn had a lot of good comments. Norman, you always have good comments. And obviously, comments from anybody on that committee are welcome. We're taking them all in. The next meeting is going to focus on the code, which is going to be a big meeting. I have dusted off the waterfront overlay district, which was a local law that was written a long time ago, but got tabled. And I think it needs some tweaking now, because there may be some other things that we may want as uses in there. So during the steering committee, we're going to throw that against the wall and see if we can work on that a little bit. But I think it would be an asset to the community if we can utilize the priceless views out there on the waterfront. So you were talking about the row park? A suggestion would be maybe some grass pavers where the gravel is now. So when you're talking to the architect designer over there, see if you could put some grass pavers in, because it's good to park on, and then the grass will grow through them. And it's just better for the environment. Last but not least, we do have on the 10th of June, the annual Children's Fishing Derby, the Fish on Fishing Derby. I mentioned it at the last meeting. Again, I'm reaching out to anybody that would like to help out there. I got a few members on the board that are going to do some things for us. Any other members that want to come over and help. It's going to start at the same time. Registration's at 9. It's going to be from, registration's at 8. It's going to start at 9 to 11. So it's short. We'll have donuts for the kids, some coffee. We're also going to have hot dogs, chips, water for the kids at the end, along with a lot of prizes. So the first 50 kids that show up, we're going to get some buckets together for them, some bait, hooks. Mary Jane doesn't like the hooks. We know that. I know. But we will have all that stuff available for the kids over there, and it's a great time. So, this is open to all children. So anybody that has children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, please bring them out to the event.
Gary?
Yes, up the water treatment plant, the plant's producing right now about 490,000 gallons per day. Thankfully, all the lakes are full. We had a couple houses that were shut off on Center Street, 2 houses, one with broken pipes, the other house is to be torn down. We are looking for a mason. Jack reached out to trying to get 3 quotes to do some mason work up there on the building because of up on top the structure's kind of breaking down a little bit from rain and just deterioration over the years. So he's only had 1 quote, so if you're a mason and you want to stop on up to see Jack up Sibley up there at the power plant, up at the water treatment plant, to look at the area, he'll show you. I have them guys up there going through the sheds. They're doing 100% inventory on what's in those sheds up there. They've been working on that, trying to get rid of old stuff and cleaning up the area. All the cemetery and the parks now, the water is turned on. Just to let you know, so if you're in the area and they have sprinklers on, that's what's going on. Other thing is too, with the water, let's, even though our lakes are full and everything else, let's be diligent on how we use our water, because we might wind up being a hot summer again. We might be the same problem we had last year. That's what, I'm just looking at, Farmer's Almanac, or just hearing people talking, weathermen and stuff like that. Saying that it's going to be another hot summer. It's going to be, and they don't look at a lot of rain coming down. But hopefully that changes, and we don't have that problem, But now's the time to water the plants early in the morning or water them at nighttime. Just try to conserve water as much as possible, because it's a very nice luxury that we have where a lot of people do not have. So that's all I have. And happy belated Mother's Day to all the ladies, mothers out there.
Gary, the other issue is going to come to pass down the road, no snow. There's been we had we had 1 little snowstorm.
Careful, I don't want too much snow.
Well, we had no snow, and that's not going to help the reservoir. Number 2, I like the number 490, 480, 490, because that shows the system is tight. So I'm glad to hear that. Jim?
Yeah, a couple quick things. Even though the state budget was approximately 40 days late, we got notified early January about some CHIPS, Pave New York, EWR, and POP money for paving streets in local communities. And looks like we'll be in the neighborhood of around 117,000 that we'll be getting to do some roads. That's an annual thing that we get, and so that's very important. As we hired 2 new police officers at the last meeting, between the last meeting and tonight's meeting, our community, along with I think the toll's up to about 7 other communities nearby, got hit with an organized group. I'm going to say organized because they have the timing down. They come in at a certain time, they work in groups, they move pretty quick, but they're going after catalytic converters. Village of Cornwall got hit, that's most notably because it's probably the closest one to us. Officer in charge Twerpy, along with our detective working with Cornwall. It's not just our community, and unfortunately they're looking most notably at Hondas. I guess they have the percentage of platinum in the catalytic converter for Hondas is a little more than other vehicles. I believe they hit 4. They got 4 catalytic converters in the community, 4 in Cornwall. I believe Chester was hit. I believe, it was one town, I think Monroe got hit. There's been a couple different communities that got hit. So we're not the only ones. It doesn't make it great, but like I said, they come in, you know, they're stealing plates off of other cars, so they're going out of town and we got the plate reader, we get the hit, but it's this plate out of Jersey that was stolen. So they're organized because they're hitting the right cars, they're coming in quick. You know, 2 guys are cutting, 1 guy's watching. I shouldn't say guy, 1 person's watching, 2 people are cutting. And, you know, they're hitting it early in the morning, you know, late at night when everyone's asleep. And it doesn't matter if your car's parked under a light, doesn't matter if it's closed in a driveway. These folks are coming in, moving quick and moving out. And they're just bringing it to cash, you know, junkyards and places, scrap that are paying cash for it. They say you can, there was one recommendation for some people if you can do it, or if maybe you can ask a mechanic to do it, if they have this high temperature paint. And if you paint it like a neon color, if supposedly where you bring the catalytic converter, they'll know it's stolen. I don't know if that works, but I'd heard that. I had heard that talking with just a different couple agencies, so I don't know if it'll work, but just keep that in mind. I too stopped down at the United Youth Group fundraiser the other day. It was great. I didn't get my car washed. I just made a donation. I didn't need any baked goods, so I didn't take any, but I just made a donation. There are a good group of kids, and I wish them well, and they're doing great. But I think it's silly to think that a special needs group could just put together a car wash and just go out and wash cars. It's not the same. And to sit up here and make a comment that promises were made during election time is false. You have no proof of that. You have no proof of that. It's just comments being made because we're throwing grenades. I know you're upset that the result didn't work out the way it was, and I'm tired of talking about it. But no promises were made. But you can't sit up here and say a special needs group kids can just throw together a car wash and they can just wash 50 cars. It doesn't work that way.
Did you just promise
So-
$10,000 to the special needs?
So anyway-
run by Jen Gargiulo?
It's terrible to get interrupted at meetings. The answer to your question is no. So,
Okay.
again, stop taking cheap shots, focus on doing your job as trustee, and we'll move the
All
community
right, I'm
forward.
going to
Thank
take
you.
a motion to adjourn. Motion. Second, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye, carries.
So, for the